There's something I've been meaning to comment on for the entire series so far. Back in the Clone Wars, it was very much a cartoon show, a kids show, I should clarify. And while there were the occasional very awesome and very dark storylines, for the most part the theme was war. Our brave soldiers are going forth to defeat, that whole thing, right? And I noticed early on, and it's really been a recurring thing, and this episode really helps to hammer it in. This show's theme is more like adventure, and I'm kind of with that. As I mentioned before, the show is exactly what it says on the tin. Rebels. This really is a television show about what it was like for the Rebels before they became the Rebel Alliance. And I know this sounds weird, but I never realized how much I wanted that out of my Star Wars prior to really actually sitting down and watching the show. Anyways, so this episode's all about, probably one of the first ones so far, about a threat of the week, a new Imperial superweapon. Except for once, it's not a superweapon that's dumb, ridiculous, or stupid. It is a superweapon designed to alter the terrain of battle in order to give the Empire an advantage. The Interdictor. One of the better ideas overall of Star Wars in general. This is a good time to mention that I could sit here and really do a dissection and nitpicky of the way the hyperspace worked back in the EU versus the way hyperspace works in the AU, because the two actually are different. I mean, sure, the general strokes are the same, but the underpinnings of exactly how and why it works have changed. Now, to be clear, I do prefer the EU version, mostly because to me the EU version made more sense. But I don't mind them changing it for the same reason I don't mind any change, as long as it is done for the proper reason. And I think these changes were made for this reason, namely, to codify everything, to make everything nice and neat and fit with its own lore. I do still think some things are dumb, but whatever. let's just move on from that. I do find it funny that Ezra insists on continuing to use his Jabba identifier, because it's basically become a call sign for him now, and that's how they're actually able to identify that it's him. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, Kanan still dislikes Rex. I do like that. I do like how there's still that animosity there. I'm pretty sure most of his jibes are jokes, or I don't mean jokes, but he doesn't mean them seriously or literally. He doesn't think, oh, you'll forget which side you're on, that kind of a thing. But I love this take on it, because not only does Kanan obviously have some issues with it, but Rex does too. Oh, not with the Jedi friend. He's actually got plenty of respect for Kanan's abilities as a Jedi. I'll pull you fire. That was great. But I love his professional disdain for the stormtroopers. This is actually not the first time this has come up. And he just won't stop bashing how terrible they are. Oh, speaking of which, we now have, I think, our third official explanation for why stormtroopers are bad shots. The terrible helmets. Which is funny, because I actually always assumed that those helmets function kind of like Boba Fett's, a.k.a., you put it on, there's like a sensor suite, and it's scanning all around you to give you a full view kind of a thing, lots of data. Kind of like Iron Man has, actually, to use an MCU example. But no, it's just a terrible helmet. That professional rivalry thing is there elsewise, too. The Navy versus the ISB. And we see that Mr. Imperial Navy Man, who I don't remember, he was an admiral, I know that, basically makes several decisions entirely because of his rivalry with the ISB, and for no other functional reason. We're better than that. Given his rivalry and his obvious pride, I find myself wondering if his offer to Rex was legitimate. That you turn them in and I will get you a post in an academy. It's just an interesting thought. What's funny is I like Rex's response. Oh, I am proud of my service, but I hate this armor. And of course there's the comment, this armor doesn't protect you from anything. Ah. So Ezra's track record of being able to escape from just about anything continues to be true. Ezra has his own mini-arc in this episode, too. Basically, the commander, Roto? I actually don't remember his name. The rebel commander, the rebel cell commander, is rather dubious that this kid is actually worth a damn. She insisted that you would be useful. And then Ezra escapes by himself, helps them to get out, and then manages to basically ensure the escape by himself. Yeah, no, I do like that kind of little arc. The middle arc of there. It's nice to see Ezra being competent, is what I'm trying to say. I wonder. I find myself wondering how. Why they would continue to design these ships to have giant empty spaces in them. With of course, catawalks, with no railing. That's mandatory for some reason. I'm sorry, I already complained about this with the ISD back on the Sovereign Tarkin's ship. It's just whatever, whatever. Let's move on. Let's move on. Fun episode overall, and I've noticed the adventure, the day in the life theme continues. So, if I'm not mistaken, the next episode is when the plot really starts to walk into the forefront. So let's enjoy it while we got it, and I'll see you next time.